Okay, so our next couple of lessons will be on solving linear systems, and we'll look at two algebraic techniques. So the other technique we looked at was graphing, and now we're looking at how can I use algebra instead of graphing to solve. And we have two techniques. The first is called substitution. So you can see these are the 4 steps, and I'm going to show you each step as we work through this example here below. So first, isolate one variable in one of the 2 equations. Okay, well that's already been done for us. You can see how I have this y isolated. That y is on its own. And now substitute that expression for the variable in the other equation. What is that saying? Well, y is 9 minus x. That's what that equal sign means. So now, in the other equation, I'm going to replace y with 9 minus x. So my second equation becomes, 2x plus 3y is 11, except y is 9 minus x. So now I have a linear equation with one variable. So now I'm on this step, solve for its value. So what we're going to find when we solve this is what is x. So we're going to get that answer. So I have 2x plus, and now I have to distribute 27 minus 3x is 11. And now I have x's in 2 spots, so I'm going to combine those. And now I'm going to subtract 27. And I get negative 1x is negative 16. And I'm just going to divide out that coefficient of minus 1. X is 16. And so at this point, a lot of kids think, I'm done. But we're not done. Remember that in a system, the answer, the solution, is the coordinates x and y. So at this point, I only have half of that solution. So now I'm done this step. The fourth and final step, calculate the value of the other variable, in this case, y. What does y equal? Using the expression from step 1. Okay, I can use this equation to solve for y, but it's easier to use this one because y is already isolated. It's 9 minus x, and I know that x is 16. So 9 take away 16 is negative 7. Y is negative 7. The solution is x comma y. Okay, so let's try that again in another problem. This one. So my first step, again, is to isolate a variable of my choice in one equation. And I want to be smart about this. So can you see that if I were to isolate this x, I would go 2x is 13 plus y, and then I'd have to divide by 2. And you can see that I'm going to get 13 halves and y over 2. And that's going to be kind of ugly to deal with. I've got fractions there. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to, get rid of that. I'm not going to isolate that variable. That's what I mean. I want to be clever about which one I choose. So I'm going to choose this x instead. X is negative 6 take away 2y. So I use this equation for my first step. And now in my second step, I substitute. So this is what x equals. So now that's going to go in the other equation where x is. So 2x minus y is 13, but x is really negative 6 minus 2y. So that gives me negative 12 minus 4y minus this y out here is 13. I'm going to collect these together. I'm going to add 12 to each side. And then I'm going to divide by my coefficient of the variable, which is negative 5. So I get y is negative 5. And remember, that's only half of my answer, that the answer in these is a coordinate, an x value. And so now I'm going to go back to this equation from step 1 and say x is negative 6 minus 2y, except y is negative 5. So now I have x is negative 6 plus 10. So now I know x. X is 4. So this one, my solution is 4, negative 5. All right? So now this is one for you to try. See if you can get it. If you want a hint, isolate this x to start. Okay. If you took my hint, you would get x is negative 14 plus 4y, right? I would add 4y to each side, and I would get this expression. And now negative 14 minus 4y is going to go right here. 2x plus 3y is 5, except x is negative 14 plus 4y. And now I distribute negative 28 plus 8y plus this 3y here is 5. I'm going to combine those. I'm going to add 28. So I get 11y is 33, divide by 11, my coefficient of the variable, and I get 3. And again, that's only half the answer. So now I'm going to go back here. X is negative 14 plus 4y, and y is 3. So I know x is negative 2. So now I know where the solution is. Negative 2, comma 3. Okay? One last one that I want to look at. You could even pause it here and try this on your own. But this one, we can't really avoid fractions here. So we're going to have to work with fractions, and sometimes that's the case. So I'm going to pick this y to isolate. So 2y is 11 minus 3x. And now I have to divide every component by 2. So y is 11 over 2 minus 3 over 2x. And this is going to go in here. And this time we're going to be lucky because those fractions are going to disappear. 6x plus 8y is 5. And y is 11 over 2 minus 3 over 2x. So here I'm going to get 88 over 2, which is 44, minus 24 over 2, which is 12. And I'm going to combine these. And I'm going to subtract when I take away 44, right? So x turns out to be 6.5 when I divide by negative 6. Or I could also write this as 13 over 2 if I wanted it in fraction form. So our answer isn't always going to be a whole number. Sometimes we could get a decimal or fraction answer as we did here. And now I'm going to put that back over here to figure out what y is. So y is 11 over 2 minus 3/2 times 13 over 2. 11 over 2 minus 39 over 4 is going to turn out to be negative 4 1/4. So that's y. So here my solution is 6.5 and negative 4 1/4. Okay, so not always nice integer answers. All right. This one, I've got some fractions here that I want to get rid of first. So I can work with the fractions, but it's kind of easier to get rid of them. So notice that in the first equation, the denominator is 2 of the only fraction in that equation. So I'm going to just multiply this whole equation by 2, and that's going to give me 6x. 2 times 1/2 is just 1, so minus 1y is 10. And now over here, I have two denominators, 3 and 4. So what do you think I'm going to multiply this by to get rid of those denominators? I hope you said 12. So 12 times a third is 4, and a quarter of 12 is 3, and 12 times 3 is 36. And now I have two much better equations to work with. So which variable am I going to isolate? Probably this one. So 6x minus 10 is y. And that's my first step. I've isolated y. And now this is going to go here. So I'll have 4x plus 3y, 4x plus 3y is 36, except y is 6x minus 10. 4x plus 18x minus 30 is 36. And I'm going to combine these to get 22. And I'm going to add my 30 to the other side to get 66, and divide by 22 to get 3. So in this one, my answer for x is 3, and that's half the answer. So I'm going to go back over here. 6x minus 10 is y. So 18 take away 10 is 8, and that's my y value. So this one, the solution,